What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here with Judd Zulgad, who finally was able to make it to a Vikings practice.
You know, it's fun to be back here. It's fun to watch football practice, especially in the middle of the spring and summer.
OTAs conflicting with your on-air schedule. But
9 to 1.
What were your impressions first day of minicamp out here? Almost everybody practicing.
Impressions were quarterback play I had heard was spotty, but until seeing it myself, and I don't know what to make of this right now. I saw Tavares Jackson have practices this time of year where he looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback. So I hesitate to make any rash judgments. But watching Christian Ponder out there, the footwork didn't look great. The passes didn't look all that sharp. If I was the Vikings, I'd be a little bit, I don't know if concern's the right word. I'd be wondering what I'm looking at right now with Ponder, because they put so much stock, and this is sort of their fault too, but rightfully so, I guess. They put so much stock in how he did towards the end of last season, right? So everything's expected to be built off that, I would imagine. He had the terrible game at Green Bay in early December, and then he starts to turn it around slowly but surely, and by the end of the season, he's pretty good. Then he gets hurt and he can't play against the Packers. What I saw today didn't really impress me all that much. But it's also minicamp. They're installing things. They're doing different things.
Right.
So if you use the word concerned, I think that's too much. I thought it was, how about this word? Interesting. What we seriously, I thought it was interesting what we saw from him. It wasn't what I expected. I expected more from him in a setting like this, and I didn't get it.
And I think that's, at least during the open portions of OTAs, the same thing that we've seen, which is that I'm waiting for it because I've said many times, I think Christian Ponder takes a step forward this season, provided that he stays healthy. Everything you hear about him behind the scenes right now is positive, everything in terms of the leadership aspect of it, of the mental aspect. But I'm in tune with trying to look and say, okay, let's look for it here. Where are those signs here?
Right.
And there have been a couple of throws. Every practice, I think you'll see him make a couple of throws, and you say, okay. But there's also been instances like today, second ball he throws, it looks like the ball comes out late. He's trying to go to John Carlson on a corner route. He underthrows it. It looks like a bad decision and a bad throw. Josh Robinson picks it off. It looks like he's aiming the football. That's one of those things that he can't do. They're working on so many different things with him right now. And I think at times, you're definitely going to have drills that are slanted toward the defense, particularly those pressure situations. When you look at him with the blitz coming at him, where they can't really pick up a blitz because you're not supposed to technically be blocking people with your full force. He ends up throwing some balls off balance and whatnot. And really everything they're trying to focus in on here is about decision making. Is he going the right place with the ball? Sometimes those reads might be made at a different speed in OTAs and minicamp than they're going to be during the regular season. I hesitate to pass any sorts of firm judgment, but you're right. I've also seen quarterbacks absolutely dominate in the offseason. I've seen guys like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre do it. When Favre actually showed up to OTAs in Green Bay once upon a time, before he came to Minnesota and decided he didn't like any part of training camp anymore, you would see those guys have practices and you'd come away going, boy, they're sharp. And then you'd have the opposite opinion, which was, well, but the offense is going to be ahead of the defense. Here, you're seeing the defense every day that we've been out there, and the media wasn't allowed to access every day of OTAs, but every time we've been out there, I'd give the edge to the defense.
You know what's not there? Crispness. There's not a sharpness, there's not a, at times you would expect to see things look second nature to Ponder, because that's been what we've been waiting for, right? Things look second nature, you make things look easy. That's not what we're seeing so far, but like I said, once again, it's minicamp. I hesitate to get real excited about it, but we've got access, and it's hard not to observe what we see. And I have to think furthermore, because the Vikings film these sessions, they go back and look at them, the Vikings are observing the same thing. And Ponder's a wild card. We still don't know. We still, going into year three, none of us know exactly what the Vikings are going to get. For the Vikings' sake, you hope what we saw in late December was what they're going to get. There was a period last season where it all went backwards too, and you always wonder with Ponder, where's the confidence at? Because if the confidence starts to wane in any way, shape, or form, that's a problem.
Cordero Patterson, I think, has been one of the standouts, at least from even what we saw again today, in terms of he's able to extend and make some catches. He's such a long athlete and such a fluid athlete. When you see him get the ball, just the way that when his feet hit the ground, he can cut in any direction on a dime. He's actually shown pretty good hands, too, where I think you saw a lot of occasions in college where the ball might get into his body. What he's showing is that when he does extend and catches the ball with his hands, he's actually a pretty smooth catcher. Now, all the other things, for everybody I've talked to, it's going to take a while for the light to come on. They're going to sort of spoon feed him the offense, give him a little bit at a time. But in terms of guys who have stood out to me, in terms of just what they look like on the field, I think Xavier Rhodes has been pretty impressive too. He broke up one pass that you could see him drive on the football. Those two guys, Sharif Floyd, the third first-round pick, that's a guy who we're going to see in training camp, because right now it's impossible when you're not really allowed to block or pass rush to really make any evaluations on linemen.
The immediate reaction to Patterson by some was Troy Williamson. Here we go again, possibly. That's absolutely not the case. The thing with him is Williamson never had any football ability. He had athletic ability. You watch Patterson play, yeah, he's raw, but he looks like he has football ability, Tom. Big difference there. Because we've seen guys with athletic ability who are really fast and can win a track meet, but you put them on a football field and you say, there's nothing here. Patterson, there looks like there is definitely something there as far as a football player goes.
They've got a lot of the offense and the defense in right now. Some of the stuff, the short yardage, goal line, all that's going to go in training camp. But this is a time where they've put in a lot of time throughout the offseason. Coaches don't take any days off. They're working 7 days a week. They're coming up on that 6-week break. We'll install a little bit more come training camp. But this is pretty much the team you're looking at right now. Jared Allen's not practicing. Chad Greenway's not practicing. There's a handful of other guys who are not out there. John Sullivan, who's another one who, every time you hear Leslie Frazier talk about him, it sounds as if the Vikings fully expect him to be ready for camp, but microfracture knee surgery, small lesion or not, that's something that can be perhaps a little bit scary. I think that he ends up being out there and ends up doing just fine, but you're looking at more or less the team that you're going to have in 2013.
Frazier said today when he was asked about Sullivan that they expect him to be set for the start of training camp, which means they're going to be very, very careful though. If they have to start him on the pup,
why not?
Because if you start a guy on the pup in training camp, it's no big deal. It's not like he's out for 6 weeks. He's out until you bring him off the pup. But that was the one answer today to an injury question that actually, when Frazier said it, you can sort of tell, yeah, we expect him to be there. But that was the one that stood out to me was John Sullivan today.
One other guy, too, who, from what I've heard behind the scenes, is the one guy who you'd point to and say that guy's really remade his body. Matt Khalil doesn't even look like an offensive lineman. I mean, he is jacked. He looks like Rob Gronkowski right now. I mean, he's a relatively lean sort of a guy. That? He looks like a tight end. That's the body type I'd say, but not in a bad way. I don't mean that negatively. I know Khalil says that when he stops lifting weights, the muscle or the weight just sort of falls off him, and so his weight ends up dropping down. Of course, he lost all that weight when he was dealing with pneumonia late in the season too. But you look at him right now, that dude is a chiseled athlete.
Khalil's going to be one of these guys who, when his playing career is done, he's going to weigh about 210. Seriously,
probably
he's not. But which
is a good thing for him.
Well, it is. But if this is a guy that if he can improve in any way on his first year, is going to be a heck of a player. I'm convinced that was the right pick to make, and I'm also convinced that he is on a track where you can plug him in for 10 years, sign him to a few contracts, and not have to worry about left tackle, which is utter genius on the Vikings' part, because that is one of the most, that's probably what, next to quarterback, that might be your second most important position for a right-hand, if you have a right-handed quarterback.
Or position.
On the offense. So, yeah, Khalil looks very good. You can plug him in, never worry about him. Bryant McKinney is a distant memory.
One other storyline that's completely dead this offseason, you watch Blair Walsh kick 46-yard field goals and run-on game sorts of situations, you just go, that's about right.
How about the rookie punter, though? Shanked a couple today. Shanked one, I saw at least.
He's fine.
So here's the deal. Are they going to have to bring in a right-footed punter on weeks they're going to face a right-footed punter on the opposing team?
Because they used to bring in business to be an out-of-work right-footed punter.
Because they used to bring in a left-footed punter on weeks they're going to face a left-footed punter to get used, so the return guy got used to him. And by the way, who is going to return punts? Is it going to be Patterson? Patterson might return punts.
We're a little shaky here. There's a lot of things going on.
A lot of moving parts down here. It's a lot going on.
Big day over here during Vikings minicamp.
A lot of people walking by.
He's Judd. I'm Tom. Full Vikings coverage as always at 1500 ESPN.com.
I'm in black, baby.
And sunglasses.
Yeah, it looks good.
We'll see you.
Bye.